Hi everyone, this is Chantay, aka Shanteezy. I hope all is well. I'm here with my analysis, and it is Thursday, May 14th, 2020, and I got some news for you. It's a kind of a jam-packed day, but not like a serious jam-packed day, but it was pretty jam-packed. So I hope you guys had a great Thursday. It kind of felt like a Saturday because it's still quarantine mode. So for some of those who work at home, great. Some of those who are still looking for work, great. Like I said, it feels like we have to remind ourselves like this is still a midweek. Like we got to remind ourselves because most of us haven't been in the office in the last 2 months. So here we go. Got some stuff for you. All right, the coronavirus is always the first topic. Every topic I'll be talking about until this is over is the coronavirus. The coronavirus is the first thing on my list. So here we go. So we got the federal response. So I'm just going to give you some of the statistics I took today. 1.4 million cases. That's where we are right now. And the death toll is around 86,000. So we are like more than a quarter away from, more than 3/4 away from 100,000 deaths. And I think it's going to climb up to 100,000 in between towards the end of this month. I'm afraid of that because we're going in a trajectory where we're going because states are reopening all in one instead of reopening in metrics. But I'm going to get into that topic in a few. So that's why you see the death toll is still rising as states reopen, and they reopen without the plan. And the way the CDC, scratch the CDC, the way that these states are reopening, and they're reopening without guidance, CDC guidance, because of Donald Trump shelving the 17-page report from the CDC on how to reopen states safely. So there's some governors that's taking their own metrics, like Governor Cuomo. But we're going to get into Governor Cuomo. He's the next topic from the federal response. So that's one. I just gave you the statistics. Now the financial implications of it. There are almost 40 million Americans unemployed. It's exactly 36.5 as of today. Because of the job reports, they come out every Thursday. We're nearing a 15% unemployment rate. I think the last time the unemployment rate was around that was the Great Depression. That was like 91 years ago. That was before my parents were born. That was around the time both of my grandparents on both sides were born. And they were babies, like little kids during the Depression. So they didn't really know what too much was going on. All I know is my grandparents basically quit elementary school. Some quit elementary school to work in the fields. I know my mom's parents did. They didn't go to school for a long period of time because they had to help out in the house because that was during the Depression. So that's where the economy is heading to. The difference is we have like the welfare, the government assistance. The problem is the Republican response to relief fund and Nancy Pelosi proposing a bill with the other Democrats, but what was missing is paycheck protections. Like, it's always a piece missing because for some reason, I don't know, they don't think of these things, but those things are important. And I get one of the congresswomen, Jayapal, I get what she's saying, but it's going to be a series of relief bills. This is going to be an ongoing thing until election. Like, I can see that happening because there's still no mass testing in all states. There's no vaccine, no alternative drug or to cure this thing. So we're dealing with limited supplies and we don't have to deal with limited supplies. We're dealing with limited supplies because of the current occupant in the White House, who is not prepared for a pandemic, who had a pandemic playbook, and they shelved the pandemic playbook because it's by his predecessor, who was a black man. So pretty much, he put us in a really tight situation. And I'm going to get into more of the pandemic response thing from today's hearing of Dr. Bright. So I'm going to get into that. But yeah, that's where we are pretty much with the whole financial implications of it. So we're in the recession already. We're nearing closer to depression, which I hope not, because they said in 2020, in late 2018 and into 2019, that there was going to be a recession, but who would have said it would have result in a pandemic? Because I sure enough didn't result in a pandemic. I knew it was going to be some kind of recession, but not where to the point where people had to be locked in a house and a lot of businesses had to be closed down, because a lot of businesses are suffering. Like right now, there's bills proposing to save small businesses. There's bills to put more money in people's pockets, from a Nancy Pelosi bill and even a Kamala Harris bill. With the two senators. I hope these bills do get passed, because they need to be passed. I heard from Mitch McConnell's voice it was dead on arrival, but nothing can be dead on arrival when your constituents in Kentucky need it the most, because Kentucky takes from the federal pot. They take almost $40 million from the federal pot. So you might want to have your constituents take this money. Yeah. Because when blue states like me don't make no money, you can't get no money from us. Pretty much. Anywho. So, Dr. Bright's hearing. It was a jam-packed hearing. I took some notes, like a regular reporter does, but even though reporting is not my forte, I just like to do this for fun, because this is something that gets me excited. But he said an a lot of things. So, he said, I didn't really catch the beginning of his statement, but I took some notes on the subtitles of the TV, and he said, without better planning, 2020 can be the darkest winter ever in modern history, excuse me. And it's true. There is no plan as we speak. None. No plan at all. Literally, no plan. It's absolutely dead. We're talking about no plan at all. None. There's no testing. There's a shortage of N95 masks since 2007. That's a long time. That's when I was in college. So how these people doing their jobs in the hospital with no N95 mask, I have no idea. They're also in his hearing, he also said something about no federal strategy to identify and source the treatment for the coronavirus, which is true. A vaccine could take up to 12 to 18 months. So without a better plan and a better strategy, we have limited time. Our death toll is about to surpass Spain's. God forbid. Because it is on that trajectory. I mean, London is trying to handle their pandemic situation. China has a grip on theirs. Even though they're seeing a second wave already, they still have a grip on theirs. South Korea, a smaller country than the United States, tested more people than the United States. That is insane. And we're supposed to be the richest superpower in the world. Sometimes I question, are we really? Because we're not acting like the superpower. I mean, it's just my honest assessment of looking at this pandemic. And I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer or very pessimistic, but that's what it is. And also was another thing, he talking about relying on the data. And when he was asked about the hydroxychloroquine, he sounded the alarm and said that this was not good. This is dangerous. It's treated for malaria and it's treated for people who have lupus. It's not treated for coronavirus. It's not. And it's true. Because it was studies, it was articles that was out that people that did take the hydroxychloroquine, they actually died. Hydroxychloroquine is not for coronavirus. It's for lupus and it's for treating malaria. It's not for coronavirus. There were scientists on the news a month ago talking about they were studying coronavirus since 1985. Like, that's the year before I was born. Like, of course, like, they're going to tell you, like, no. Like, this doctor here who was in charge of vaccines, Dr. Richard Bright, who testified today, said no. No, 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 no. Hydroxychloroquine is not well. And when he sounded the alarm, they basically ignore him. Like, his supervisor was doing things that both his boss, the Human Health Services Secretary, and Donald Trump telling them what to do. So Dr. Bright filed a whistleblower complaint. I would too. I would definitely too. Because you're doing something that's criminal. We're doctors and scientists in here, and I care about human life because I care about this disease, because this vaccine is coming. I mean, seriously. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's no way in hell that, this vaccine is just, this pandemic is just, it should be better planning. It shouldn't just be, let's fly off the whim, because flying off the whim will do what? It will do absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then also, he said something else, because he said a lot, and I was really paying attention. He said about the N95 mask, he was told his urgence caused a commotion, and that's what also causes removal when he asked about the N95 mask for the nurses and for the doctors and for people in the health field, because it's been a shortage since, like I said, since 2007. That's a long time from now. That's 13 years ago. That is before when President Obama came in office. That was during the Bush era. And I think George Bush even warned us about pandemics, but if you did, why in 2007 you didn't order no more masks? Excuse me. They make no sense. Whatever. So, on that frontier, he also said that the lives that he believed that were lost was delay of acquiring N95 masks for medical personnel, like I said. He also said he was quite alarmed to know that the national stockpile did not include enough testing and equipment and supplies. Now, remember, the national stockpile is for all states who are dealing with health crisis or in need of it. Jared Kushner came on TV like a couple of weeks ago during the press conference for the coronavirus task force and said the national stockpile is ours. Basically, it's the White House's and no one else. What? No. The national stockpile belongs to all of us. We pay for that shit. We, the taxpayers, pay for that shit. Like we pay for their salaries. Like we pay for them to protect them from the Secret Service. We pay for that shit. So all states should get it, like Cuomo said. It's not theirs. It's the country's. And then they keep asking him about this goddamn, they keep asking about the hydroxychloroquine when he already said it's not good. It's just not good. And yeah, that is not good. Also, last thing. He was asked, does the virus care about, people of different political affiliations and all this stuff? And of course it was no. So pretty much overall in his hearing, because his hearing was long, you'll always catch it on YouTube, and you could watch it. Pretty much the hearing from Dr. Bright is, if we do not plan, because we still got a little bit of time, but it's very limited. If we don't plan now, we will receive a second wave during flu season, and flu season is between late September to early October. And what can happen is more people can actually die from this virus. So therefore, I encourage people, you don't have to watch the news all day, but please, 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 please pay attention to what's going on. That's all I can tell you. So pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to what's going on in these hearings, because some of these hearings are very important. And it's you know, it can excuse me. I'm sorry. It can actually be a it's very educational. So pay attention. My next topic, Cuomo's briefing. I live in New York City, so I'm always going to listen to my governor before I even listen to the guy in the White House. So my governor today basically just summed up the reopening plans. Upstate New York is going to reopen first. So that means that's the central area and even closer to Canada. New York City is not pretty much going to be open to June 13th. So we're going to be in the house for a whole month, which I don't mind, as long as our hospitalizations go down, as long as there's some type of alternative to treat this thing, because I am even leery of going around and talking to people because of the fact that you can talk to people and you can get the coronavirus because of the droppings when you talk. So that's another thing. He also talked about in his hearing about how to reopen. We need to open intelligently, and we do. We don't need to be like the other states that open up massively. You have to open up the states that you got to open up the states by sections of with the less cases. Because I know in every state, they got at least one county or one town that has a little bit of cases, versus if you live in a big city with the most cases, you don't need to reopen first. Like LA is extending their stay-at-home order to like later this summer. New York is basically stay-at-home order is probably going to be between June 13th or maybe close to the 30th, depending on if de Blasio want to extend it a little further, which I don't mind, as long as the case and the curve is being flattened. That's what I care about. That there's some type of more mass testing where people are tested. That's what I care about more than anything. But you can check out Cuomo's briefing online. Cuomo's briefing is very informative. He doesn't spend a lot of time talking, and that's what I like. He doesn't talk nonsense. He gets to the point, and that's what we need, because he always gets to the point, and that's what I like about the governor. He gets to the point all day, every day. Okay, now the justice part of another topic I want to talk about. I want to talk about the shootings of both Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. I have spoke about this, and I'm still in my feelings due to the fact is that it's more development cases happening within this. We know that Breonna Taylor's lawyer spoke today on The View, and he spoke today with Joy Reid on MSNBC around the 7 o'clock hour. And he basically outlined how the cops came to their house at 1 o'clock in the morning. They were both, her and her boyfriend were both in the bed. They both had on like their nightwear on. Like she mostly had a t-shirt and like her undergarments on. And her boyfriend, I guess he had on his pajamas or whatever. And they woke up out of the bed and they pretty much heard a hard knock. And they basically did not really announce themselves at the door like normal cops do. So he got his gun, and he's a gun owner. Her boyfriend is a whole entire gun owner. Licensed gun owner. They came in, basically he shot at one of the cops, and the cops, the bullets shot her. And they even went to another apartment complex where a 5-year-old lives at. So pretty much she was shot for no reason. Shot because of not her mistaken identity, but they was looking for a guy who don't even live in the apartment complex. So pretty much is they just fire without any warning. And it's so messed up because I'm just pissed. I'm mad, and to the point where I'm just tired of my people getting shot for no reason, and I'm so sick of it. I'm so tired to the point where I don't even want to talk about this no more because it's going to get me mad. And even with the Ahmaud Arbery case, it's always a new development coming out, and the new development about him is pretty much is like there was a whole audio saying like, oh, he did steal. And there was like a note on the side say I should have stopped it. It's like senseless murder for no reason because either no one don't want to speak up or mistaken identity, did not say nothing to any of the parents, and just continue on life like nothing never happened, like you didn't take someone's life. Like, I'm just tired of my people being killed for stupid shit. Like, I'm so tired. It's a drainer out of me. It really boils my blood. And I've been looking at this stuff since I was a kid from Amadou Diallo. I remember the Amadou Diallo thing like no tomorrow because it was uptown in the Bronx. It was north of me because I grew up in Harlem, so it was north of me. And his mother was so distraught. He was a student going to school. They stopped him at the store. Only thing he was doing, he was taking out his wallet to just show the ID, and they shot him because they thought he had a gun. Really? The whole Sean Bell thing. You're standing outside brushing your hair from your bachelor party. Are you serious? Eric Gardner selling his CDs on the street like every other dude on a corner in New York City do. And you want to shoot him for that? Like, not shoot him, but like put him in a chokehold until he can't breathe? Like, seriously? I'm so Jesus Christ. I'm tired. And even the stuff that happened internationally, like the whole Trayvon Martin thing, the Tamir Rice thing, the Michael Brown situation, the Alton Sterling, Stephon Clark, Philando Castro, Sandra, God, it's the last name is there. Sandra Bland. There we go. It's just the list keeps going on and on. When is this going to stop? Like, it has to stop. Like, I'm so drained. Like, my skin is even breaking out from it because I'm just tired. I'm tired. It's very tiring. Like, I will give you more developments of it, but I'm just gonna vent about this all day, every day when on this thing because it's just a never ending thing. And Kamala Harris even called Attorney General Barr to even start an investigation. But you think he gonna start one? He's a hack. He always been a hack. Before even Trump, he's been a hack during Bush 41's in office and sneaking information on Bill Clinton. So, like, I'm not even surprised that he's acting like a hack. Like, come on. Seriously? But there's going to be more developments every day, so I'm going to be following these two stories every day. In terms of politics, in terms of dirty corruption, Richard Byrd temporarily stepped down from as a chairman of the Senate Intel Committee after his cell phone was seized from the FBI due to selling stocks during this situation of coronavirus. And he gets daily briefings. He's a Senate Intel. The Senate Intel deals with classified information. He knew about this just as the same time as Trump knew about it. And they did absolutely nothing to coordinate with the scientists or with the White House. It's a mess. It's a mess. And him and Kelly Longford, who tonight I heard turn over her records because she's next. Because everybody keep asking, so what about her? Because, yeah, we got Richard Burr. We don't like him. But what about Senator Kelly Longford of Georgia? Like, you need to get them where you need to get them. You selling stocks during the coronavirus to get money because it's the best time to sell your stocks? That's whack. And you serve in a taxpayer funded position. Like, we pay for their salaries. Literally pay for their salaries. And you're going to make money off of the government because we pay for your salaries? Yeah, okay. I think him and Kelly Fund, they need to be removed from the Senate, period. If they're going to do shady shit like that. That's all I'm saying. Presidential politics, as you know, Joe Biden today, people complain about, oh, we don't see enough Joe Biden. We don't need to see enough, and we don't see. Joe Biden was on Lawrence O'Donnell tonight. And him and Stacey Abrams were on tonight having the town hall about coronavirus. And, Joe Biden knows how to, believe it or not, he knows how to say the right things when a parent grieves, when they lose a child, when they lose a wife or whatever. He knows about laws. I mean, he lost his first wife and daughter at the same time, and then he lost his son years later. So, if anybody know about laws, it's Joe Biden. And he appeared with Stacey Abrams to talk about the voting rights, during a coronavirus, because this is still an election year, not just a presidential election year, but it's also election year for different, Senate offices, congressional offices, state and local governments as well. That's why it's good to go on the Board of Elections site, whatever it was called, and read who's running in your district by entering your zip code. That is important. You need to know voting is your absolute right, and everyone needs to know, because it's definitely an important thing that we all should know. Also, in terms of presidential politics, Donald Trump is just saying the dumbest things out of his mouth about Joe Biden and how he's sleepy and how he didn't leave a pandemic playbook. And he did. He left the playbook. 69 pages on how to deal with a pandemic. The last presidential administration dealt with a pandemic. They dealt with two. They dealt with H1N1 swine flu in 2009 and the Ebola crisis in 2014. And in 2015, I believe, the pandemic response team was formed under the National Security Council due to the two pandemics that happened. And that pandemic response team was disbanded in 2018 because Donald Trump cut it, along with cutting the employees in the CDC over in China. That's exactly what he did. Let's be real, guys. He did it. So here we are in the midst of a pandemic with the shortage of supplies, including masks, including test kits. This is where we are in America. In terms of the, just Trump's campaign messages and knocking Fauci messages, he's basically doing what he does best: distraction and deflecting, and also calling Obamagate and all this bull crap and da 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 da. No one cares. This is a deflection moment. If I was everybody, I would not just pay attention to Donald Trump's crap. I would pay attention to the stupid things he said about the pandemic, because that will be his downfall. This is his Achilles heel. And trust me, I'm enjoying every moment of him being scrutinized by the press. At his press briefings, I enjoyed every minute. And the reason why I enjoyed every minute of it, because he don't know what to say. I would not know what to say neither. So, that's where we are. Moving right along. The New York Times article had an article about Democrat socialists of America who is backing the Green candidate, Howie, whatever his name is. I have something to say about these white progressive, because the old progressive are the ones that wrote the letter to him, and it was an opinion article, which I think it was a great opinion article, because I'm very skeptical of opinion articles. So I read it, and it was a very good article, and explains about what I have said about these progressives, some of these young white educated progressives that's under the age of 30, like, because I got so much to say about them, because I feel like, honestly, they don't make up the voting majority. They don't. Let's just keep it real. They don't. And I feel like, you know, they're not the voice of reason. They may be the new generation now, but they're not the voice of reason. Because if they were the voice of reason, maybe Joe Biden would have been the nominee. But because they didn't show up for their candidate, and plus their candidate messed up when he said something about Fidel Castro being great. No, Fidel Castro was a communist. He wasn't too much of a bad guy, but he did a lot of bad things that Cubans fled to America. They did not have a lot of economic prosperity like that. They may have some education, but not economic prosperity. They wasn't allowed to do certain things. So a lot of the Cuban Americans, they wanted freedom, so they fled to the Americas. That's what they did. I wouldn't blame them. If I talk to every Cuban, they say about Fidel Castro, they will say the things that I'm saying, versus what Bernie Sanders has said. So that's where he also messed up at too. And there's a couple things he messed up about getting a woman as a VP. He said she got to be a progressive woman. Sometimes there could be a balance. Like with President Obama was a progressive candidate. Joe Biden was more on the moderate side. The two meshed well together because they didn't agree on certain things, but they agreed on what's better for the country. The problem with the Hillary Clinton candidate, and as much as I love Hillary, Tim Kaine was too moderate. Because she was already considered as a moderate, even though I think she's a little bit more progressive, but she was considered as a moderate. So you already was a moderate already. So that was a problem right then and there. That was why people wasn't enthused to vote for Hillary Clinton, besides all the other things in the media that went on. So that's what it was. With this ticket here, it's strange because my candidate dropped out before the Iowa caucuses. Two of my candidates actually dropped out before the Iowa caucuses. But in terms of the VP ticket, that's, I already said who I was going to say. But back to these progressives, they're going to be the reason why people like me and whoever's watching are going to suffer in the next 4 years if Donald Trump is reelected, because they're not backing the candidate. As much as you don't care about Joe Biden is ready to have a conversation with each and everybody that disagree with him. I can see that happening. I love Hillary, but Hillary was not open to certain people, which sometimes I don't blame her, but she should have been open. But Joe Biden is open to talk to anybody and everybody. And the simple fact is, these people talking about, oh, we can't vote for him because he's no friend to nobody. Yep, we already know that. But half of these other candidates that ran on the Democratic ticket, they were not friends of anybody neither. These people that so-called the progressive left, they don't include black people in their movement. They claim they do, but they don't. They acknowledge Hispanics more than they acknowledge black people. And my thing is like, Hispanics are black people. Don't try to separate us. They speak another language, but they're part of us too. So my thing, I have a lot of issues with the younger white progressive movement because like I said, I don't think it's inclusive. I think it's like a clique. I think it's not for real. I honestly think that they don't demonstrate progressivism. They demonstrate cult. It's like a mean girl cult. It's like, if you're not for me, then I'm going to shut you out. And that's what I feel for them. And I'm not saying it's all white people, because I have people that I know that I talk to that are white that don't think that way. It's the ones that mostly on television and in these groups that are popular that I have a problem with. The ones that are on TYT, Rising, Ryan Grimm. I got issues with those mother you-know-whats, because I just feel like they don't include anybody in their movement that doesn't look like them. They only include people that champions their toe line. Like, you got Bree Joy and even somewhat Nina Turner. And keep in mind, I like Nina Turner, but when she gets on that toxic mode, I can't rock with it. Like, I can't. Like, I just can't at all. But my thing with these progressives, so-called progressives, because sometimes I feel like they're not real, it's like they're trying to make the progressive movement and the Democratic Party and like a cult, and we're not a cult. We accept people from different ideologies. We even, as much as I can't stand some conservative ideology, we accept people from the conservative, moderate, liberal, then progressive. It's a big tent of people. So when you hear these progressives talking about we're progressive, it's like, so you want to start your own party? Because there are progressives in the Democratic Party. Let's get that together, because I'm one of them. So I'm going to just need for them just think about it and chillax on it, because what they're doing is not progressive. All my final thoughts. Despite what's going on in our political climate, despite what's going on in our world, despite what's just going on, period, we have to stay connected, not just only with television, but within ourselves and with our family, of course, but within ourselves. We have to find our inner peace. Some people's inner peace, like me, is politics and doing everything that relaxes, such as exercising. Some people's relaxation may be taking a walk outside, or being with their children, or being with their husband or their wife, or even shopping online. Whatever you do is comfortable. I don't want to encourage eating, because I encourage no one to overeat. But do something that is relaxing. Even draw. Even sew if you got a great hand skill, because I don't. Fix something in your house. Rearrange some furniture. Do something that is more productive, because at the end of it all, it's going to make you feel good. So what I can conclude with this is just, let's stay alert. You don't have to watch news all day, but you can watch it at least about 10 minutes of your day, and then watch a good movie. Watch a good movie on Netflix if you have one, like the Michelle Obama documentary. I almost finished watching it. Or like watch a good movie. Watch something. If you got a Roku TV, watch some old movies that you haven't watched in a while. Or like if you have like a nosy app, if you have different apps on your television, just watch it. Binge watch series that you haven't watched in a long time. Listen to some music, zen for a little bit. If you have sage, you could burn sage in your apartment. God bless you, because I can't. But just find your inner peace. Do this thing, because we will get through it. We may be alone, but we're together in this. So here am I. I sign off. Be blessed. Thank you.